So
first, the 45s, which are the lights and anything that would go on a switch, like when we do exterior GFIs, we usually put those on, if they want them by the porch light, we put them on a switch. So in order for us to know which one is going to turn on the light or a GFI, it's cut at an angle. Anything that is cut straight is a hot wire or a jumper. For example, like this one is also a jumper. So all the wires that are going to be at the top on the switch would be cut at an angle. Then you start. What I do usually, I put my 45s at the top and I put my hot wires at the bottom, just for whenever I strip the wire and cut it, I know which is which. When I strip the wires, you're supposed to leave a fourth or more of sheathing inside the box. Then what I do next is I separate my grounds from all the other wires. And then I take a little paper off of the ground wire. After you have all your grounds all separated, you want to cut them to about the same length. And you want to push the ground plug as much as you can in. And you want to crimp it with some crimpers. Make sure that it's as tight as you can get it. And then you separate, you cut, you want to leave the number of switches that you have. Each switch needs to have one ground right here on the switch. So what you would do, since this is for a triple switch, I need 3 grounds, and although I have 5 grounds, the other 2 that I have left over, I'm going to cut and bend it over to help secure right here the grounds. So what you do is, I have my 3 grounds right here. You cut the other ones. You want to leave about ½ inch, and then you want to pull it up, fold it down, and bend it so that it looks like that. And then now you have your 3 grounds for your 3 switches. So what you're gonna do With those, now you're gonna push all your grounds to the very back as far as you can of the box. You want to leave your 3 grounds. Now what you want to do is you want to bend it to where you have a little hook. Usually what I bend is about 1/4 to 3/8 of from the end in the wire. You have a little hook. Now you have the 3 hooks for the 3 switches. So what you do now is now you want to separate your hots and your neutrals. And it'll be the same thing as we did with the grounds. Now we're going to cut the neutrals the same size. You want to strip them about an inch. And you want to push them out to where they about line up the same, and you want to cut them one more time all evenly to about the size of the wire nut, which is about 1/2 inch. And if you're gonna use 3 wires or more, you're supposed to use a red wire nut. You can't use one of the yellow ones because it's only rated for two 14-2 wires. You want to twist it as much as you can, and once you see that all the wires start twisting together, aside from just close to the wire nut, then you know that you won't have any loose connections later on. So you want to turn it as much as you can. Then you want to push it to the very back of the box. Get those out of the way from the hots. Same thing with the grounds. Now you have your hots. And now going back to what I was saying at the beginning, the reason I put my 45s or my lights at the top is so that now I don't know which wire was cut at an angle, which one wasn't. But since I put all my lights at the top, I know which ones are going to be my lights, which ones are my hots, and which ones are my jumpers. So this wire, for example, is at the bottom, so I know this is either a hot or a jumper. This other wire right here is also at the bottom of the box, so it's a hot or a jumper, and that leaves my 3 lights at the top. And then just make sure you're pushing your ground all the way in as much as you can, out of the way. You have your neutrals in the back corner. Now what you want to do is strip your hots and jumpers. Same thing as we did with the grounds. Leave a hook. You don't want to take too much sheathing off because then there's more chances for a short, and it's also not in code. Jumpers. Now, since we are doing a triple switch, what we need is now we need to get a jumper from one switch to another to another. Since we only have 1 hot and 1 jumper, we need a way to get power from one to the other and then to the other. So what you want to do is take a piece of wire and just scrap the ones we cut earlier, and you want to strip it the same way, and you want to make a hook on one end. You want to just cut the other one. You you're not gonna make a hook on this one. You only need one hook, and then the other one you're just gonna push in. You wanna do that for 2. Since we're gonna do 3 switches, we need 2 of those. Now, what we're gonna do, we have our first switch. So on this one, we're gonna push the wire into the back of the switch, and then bend it. At our other switch, put the hook on the screw, and you wanna close that hook so that you know you have a secure connection. Before you tighten the screw, and you want to tighten the screw. And you can see the sheathing continues right after the screw does. So that means that we won't have any problems with that. And then you want to do that one more time. So you're going to push it in. Push it in right here, back of the switch. Get your hook. The hook has to be put clockwise. It has to go clockwise so that when you tighten the screw, it also tightens, it'll grip onto the wire better. If you put it the opposite way, the hook will end up opening. Another way of tightening the hook is you have a little piece right here on the switch. What you can do is just push it in, and just it closes the hook on its own. You want to tighten it one more time. And it's the same thing. The hook and the sheathing continues after the screw. And there's different types of switches where some will have the grounds at the top, others will have the grounds at the bottom. A way of knowing that is if you turn on the switch, well, if you say these switches are meant to have the ground at the top, but if I have this switch upside down, it'll say no instead of saying on. So that's one way of figuring out if you have the switch upside down or not. That way, when you turn it on here, the light is on, and when you flip the switch on, it'll turn off. So that's in some places it's done like that, in other places it's not. So that's just an easier way. If you look at it and it says no when it's supposed to say on, then you know you have it upside down. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your hot wires out the way, and you're gonna put your grounds on the switches. And again, it has to be clockwise. Put your ground. And you want to tighten the ground again to where it's, since you don't have that little piece on the switch like you did for the hots, now you have to tighten it with your wire strippers. And you tighten that, you close it down, and then you tighten the screw. Same thing for the other one. Close it down, tighten it, and for the last one, close that hook and tighten it. So since my grounds are supposed to be at the top, now you want to flip them. So you'll have your grounds at the top. Now what you're going to do is you're going to connect your wires that are left over. So we're going to put our hot wire bottom, and remember you're going to close that hook, close the hook, and then you're going to tighten the screw and strip enough to where the sheathing continues after the screw. push that to the side as much as you can so it's out of the way. Same thing on the other side, but since we already have a hook right here, what we have to do with this one is cut the hook off, and we're just gonna push this one in. Just strip it. And push it in the back. Same thing with this. We're gonna push it to the side as much as we can. That way it's out of the way and it looks more organized. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our 45s. So I'm gonna push it in. You only wanna leave what you need. Again, close that little hook. Close the hook down before you tighten the screw. And the sheathing continues after the screw, just like we did at the bottom. Same thing with this other one. Put it on, close the hook, tighten the screw, and the last one. Now before you put your switches in, and look in the box and make sure that all your ground wires are as far back as they can be, so that when you put the switches in, they're not in the way and they won't be close to any hots. And what you're gonna do is your top wire, you could bend it on the right side, you could bend it to the top right corner. Bottom one, you can push it to the bottom right corner, like that. The middle, you can push it straight back. Same thing for the bottom one. And then the left, you can push to the top left, and the bottom to the bottom left, so that you get them out the way. And you just tighten this, just put the switches in. Look inside this box and make sure that your grounds didn't come back to the front. So you want, if they did, you want to push them to the back. Push everything out the way. The only thing that should be anywhere near the screws on the sides where you connected your hots is the actual hot wire itself. Everything else should be out the way. And if you did it right, you have your neutrals in the very back out of the way and your grounds as well at the very back.